Hi people, Daniel from Devon Sons Guitars here, and on today's A to Z of guitar, we've got J for Jack. Great, here's the J for today's Jack. Do you recognise where that logo's from? At the end of this series, I'm going to put up a video which tells you where that's from. A bit like a competition. See if you can guess where this one and the rest of the A to Z come from. But for now, let's talk about Jacks. There's not a lot to say about Jacks really, but here we've got the sort of Jack that you might have on a Strat. So this is flat on the surface of the Strat guitar, whereas if we look at the side, this part is recessed inside. So this is the plate and that's the Jack itself. I'll come back to that in a minute. Here's a flat plate. Actually, it's got a slight curve to it that you might see there. So that would go on the edge of a guitar that's rounded. Sometimes you might have these as square instead of this eye oval shape. And sometimes they might be flat if they're on the side of a guitar that hasn't got a curve on it. Maybe like something like a Flying V or a Warlock. And this is another Jack plate, 3 screws to screw it into the guitar, and that would go on the top surface of the body. And this is the Jack itself. So let me just unscrew one from here. It's a 1/4 of an inch Jack. So I'm using a kind of wrench, socket wrench. It's a hand one. In fact, I think that one might have come with something like a bit of IKEA furniture. But there's the Jack from my lead, guitar lead. 1/4 of an inch is standard for musical instruments. And what you can see on the back of the Jack is there are 2 pieces here which you will solder your wires to, the hot and the ground. And the way it works is one of them is attached to the outside sleeve, as we call it, of the Jack socket, and one of them is soldered to this metal piece here. And you see you've got these brown pieces here. They insulate this piece of metal, which comes across to this upright tab, from this piece of metal which connects to the sleeve. So when you put your Jack into the socket, what you get is the sleeve of the socket makes contact with this lower part of the Jack, and the metal bit at the top, like the lever, makes contact with the tip of the Jack. And you see on this Jack there's a black ring around it. So it's a mono Jack. Guitars will be mono, and what that means is you've got the ground here and the hot part, and they're separated by this plastic piece, and internally then there's 2 wires going through this, one ground, one hot. And let's see, when we put it on, you can see that here the tip of the Jack is now making contact with this metal piece here. So what we've got is here, don't know why I made that sound effect. So what we've got here is, from this tab, we've got the hot wire coming out, just touching the hot part of the Jack. And from this tab is touching the sleeve and making contact with the bottom part of the Jack. So the Jack socket and the Jack fit perfectly together, and it sends your signal out from your guitar. Now, I made a video in this A to Z under electricity explaining a bit more about how the electricity works. It actually comes from the electromagnetism in the pickups. Also got some videos on 3 different types of pickups: humbuckers, single coils and P90s. So you might want to check them out for more information. But really, that's all to say about Jacks. Mono, hot, ground. The tip should always be hot. Fantastic, that was quite a straightforward, simple video, but I've got one coming up with a more complicated and slightly different type of Jack in it. So like and subscribe and hit that bell to see when that comes up. I'll give you a clue, it's towards the end of the A to Z list. Let me know in the comments below if you can guess what Jack that's going to be. Till next time, happy strumming.